All views of our guests in our podcast are theirs. We are just bringing them to you. Please use your own judgment. Hello, and welcome to this podcast. This is Nanda with my co host Uma in conversation with Priya Murle. Priya is a performer, composer, and a teacher. She is the senior disciple of Professor Sudharani Ragupathy. She struck me as a person rooted in tradition but not bound by it. A contemporary person who probably would be at complete ease listening to hard rock music and at the next minute a lengthy raga lapana, a classical piece. She's very well read and educated and has an M.Phil. She has researched the field of aesthetics and the Rasa Theory as part of her M.Phil dissertation. So let's join in without any delay. Everyone knows about your dancing and your background and everything because you're a famous person.
That's a big joke. No, it's okay. I'll take it.
No, it is a fact. It is a fact.
Okay.
So it's probably anyone can Google and check what you're doing and everything. But I just wanted to know about your thinking and how you plan out your dance and how when you choreograph, what goes into the process and things of that nature.
See, as you know, we do come from a very artistic family. In that sense, I'm blessed to be born here.
Right.
So what I mean, from young, dance was a passion, but also the discipline was inculcated by my mother primarily, who would tell me to actually focus. She wanted to be. I mean, she was a dancer, and then those years, they got married, and not that my fathers didn't allow her to, but they didn't pursue it.
Right,
so
right.
she wanted two sons and a daughter, and she wanted this daughter to be a dancer. I mean, that
Right.
it is her dream, I guess, that I'm fulfilling.
Right. Yeah.
And also the kind of I was put in this beautiful school institution called Shree Bharatalaya. And my guru is, as we probably know, is Sudharani
Ragupathy. Yeah.
So the kind of exposure we got at that particular institution is broadly what makes me a dancer or a choreographer, or and also the training that we got. It was a very holistic training.
Right.
So emphasis was laid on music and dance, and we learned a lot of Sanskrit. I mean, the theory of dance. And then she encouraged us. We had a lot of master classes with other gurus, and it was a very very learning atmosphere with a lot of fun, of course. So my teaching or my choreography reflects a lot of what I have been taught by my guru, Srimati Sudharani Ragupathy.
Right.
And of course, one of my very pet projects is like dance should be available to all. Classical dance, I feel, is something that dance and music is what defines this wonderful country. And
yes.
So I feel that more people should actually have access to learning the classical arts. Because I feel that's what gets us rooted to our culture. For instance, when I teach my students, and many of them now do not know even what a Dashavataram is. So I think there's a big gap between what our parents taught and what we are trying to impart to our children. Somewhere the Indianness, the connection to our roots is not there. And once it's not there, it's dwindling. So I feel that art, I feel dance, I feel music is what is going to connect you to your Indianness. It is there with a lot of people abroad, because you already feel you've come to another country and you're doing a lot. But what happens in India, and what happens especially in Madras or Chennai, is that I don't know, either we take it for granted, or just the influence is so high of the Western world that I'm at least saying that on one level, on one strata of the society, we are too westernized. The other one, they simply don't have access to what is Indian, or what is culture, or what is art. For instance, my own maid, She helps me with my costumes, cleaning the costumes and folding them, but has never ever been to one Bharatanatyam concert in her life. So for me, the outreach of Bharatanatyam is very important, and making it accessible to schools, especially the corporation schools. So there was this Anma Jyoti Trust where they wanted me to actually take over a lot of corporation schools and teach them. So I said at that time, I said that Kalakshetra, is a very good school, and they have a lot of youngsters who want to make a living out of this. Right. And so I connected Dhanma Jyoti and Kalakshetra, and they have an outreach program. Then we have Abhay, Association of Bharatanatyam Artists of India, and I'm the vice president, and I've been the secretary, and I've been the secretary for many years. So basically, then we also went to this trust and said, see, we have about 3,000 database of dancers who are members, and so I said, why can't we use that and also have more corporation schools having access to learning dance? So that for me, the outreach of dance is a very pet project. Of course, I have a small school, not a very big school, and I do a lot of group work with my students too. And I am strict. I mean, in the sense that I completely follow the way that we were taught, and so it's fun. It's fun at the same time. I also learn every time I teach. So it's a great process. It's a continuous process.
Right. So is the corporation school project on, if I may interrupt? Excuse me.
Yes, it is still on. It is still on.
Okay. The reason I ask is the corporation school system, I have some association with it. It's one of the most receptive for anything different, anything new, Chennai Corporation. And the children really want to learn. I mean, you will not get that kind of engagement and interest and appreciation and gratitude or contentment.
Absolutely.
In any premier school in Chennai.
Actually, you won't believe it. Not even school. So they also call us to. So Anma Jyoti Trust is doing great work in this. Okay, and they also call us to perform for them. And they also call us to give them lecture demonstrations. So I generally initiate them into this wonderful, our classical arts. And every time we go there, and I take my students who are of this generation, the new gen, but they come out and say, "Ma'am, this is what it is for us. It's much better performing in a proscenium and fighting for space in Sabhas. It is very competitive nowadays. The dance world is so competitive. So these are avenues where actually another thing is that plagues apart from also educating the people with your own culture. I feel it will also increase the audience base, because Bharatanatyam is not an art that maybe you'll first say it's good, but then for people to be actually interested and come for performances, if as artists we reach out to people, even our audience base will increase. So but it's a very as you said, Uma, it is so gratifying, and it really, you feel so happy that you can dance, and they're ma'am inge vandu solli kudunga ma'am, inge vandu solli kudunga ma'am. They're always doing that. So Abhay now has about 4 or 5 schools. So this way, even people who have learned dancing and who want to teach, they also have a means of livelihood. So it works both well for us.
Right, but let's take a typical case of, say, Kupatla, you're doing this, you're trying to teach kids. Now, unless they know a little bit of the mythology or the story behind it or the characters involved, how much will they be able to appreciate it? Like, for example, if you sing a kirtana in front of, a typical average person who has not been exposed to Carnatic music.
Oh, you won't believe it. So Anma Jyoti has a trust, has also a thing for Carnatic music in corporation schools. So you won't believe it. So they the kind of receptivity those children have. Yes, you have to just take, or you have to take a minute to explain what it is. And if they don't know the story, to tell them what the story is. Because I'll tell you one thing, in our, I'm saying in corporation schools, in Kuppam and all, what is our one thing of our culture is only the films. So all the dancing that they see is perhaps is only from the film dancing, which used to be very good. I mean, I'm not for a moment putting down the thing. Yes, I mean, the classical dances used to be represented very well, but now it is all very good dancing, but it is very Bollywood. Like, you now have a genre of Bollywood dancing. And so, see, as we also evolve, we also need to see how best we can project this art, because it is all said and done, it is classical. But what I'm trying to say, it's an adaptable style, and lot of things can be done with the style, which I feel is not being done.
So adaptable, do you mean you don't dilute the
without diluting the form? Oh my God, no! I don't like any dilution. In fact, my students, I tell them, if you want to do some film music or something, like this is not the place for it.
I've seen a quote.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, do the dance that you like. If you want to do film dance, do Bollywood, do it properly. If you want to do Bharatanatyam, do it properly.
Yeah, I was just quoting you for another interview that you had said that at a Sangeet or a party, I'll be the first person on the dance floor. But when it comes to performance, I do not digress from the form of Bharatanatyam.
Yes, and I will not digress from the form of a Sangeet dance also. I mean, what I'm trying to say is, be true to whatever you're doing. But this, of course, our biggest thing is the movie dancing.
Right.
And that is what is popular. And say, if I was Priya Murle, an actress, people who come for my performances will be so high.
That's true. Yeah. Perfect.
For instance, if you say, okay, Shobna is a good dancer, I'm not diluting it. I'm not saying anything about her thing, but her performances, people queue up. I mean, they want to come for her performance because they want to see this actress Shobna. Not so much the classical dancer. So
yes, that's absolutely true.
So the psyche, Angi, it's gone, for us, we have to actually fight for it there itself.
So you say you dabbled a lot in experimentation. So within the boundaries. So what exactly are these boundaries? Can these be defined or used?
See, the one thing, a beautiful thing about tradition is that it evolves.
Right.
So Bharata in his Natya Shastra himself has said that the form has changed. In my own eyes, I see that there is this Aramandi, which is my pet peeve now, is not an Aramandi, it's a Mukkamandi. You sit 3/4. Most of them, we were taught Aramandi in one particular way to keep our stomach and butt tucked in, and and sit in as much as you can, not lift the heel. Whereas nowadays you see children sitting a lot, and many of them are sticking their butts out, or it is not the way that we did. But having said that, I train my children to adapt to the changing styles.
Is it a lack of fitness, or is it just discipline?
It is not lack of fitness. It's just that people have redefined Aramandi in Bharatanatyam. It has become Mukkamandi, like it has become more. And the style itself is the style of Bharatanatyam now is very different to the style that I myself dance. And it has become very body centric. It's become a lot of influence of colory, and the influences are changing. I see it in my own eyes.
Right.
Whether I do it physically, I can't do it, one. And secondly, I've been so steeped in my Tanjavur tradition that I will not do it. But if somebody wants to do it, I don't stop them. I say, don't come to me. I'm fine with you not coming to me. This is the way we'll do our Sharkal and Tatay-Tahas and Teha-Tehis. No posing for us. And this is the way I will do it. But when somebody else does it in their style, this thing, I'm the first one to appreciate it also.
But you would call yourself a traditionalist, right?
Yes, I am a traditionalist.
Okay, so would you take up a current thing, like, I mean, to give you a lousy example, the Corona business? Would you be able to? Would you? What would you think? Would you think for education for people to keep level of
to
hygiene?
do something through dance, through Bharatanatyam? Yeah. Yes, it would be a very classical presentation. I mean, I'm not saying.
But you're open to all this.
I'm open to it to an extent.
Oh, okay.
But in Corona times, I feel of course, I myself have done one or two videos. One video, I think. But I just feel that it is a time for me. But I just read a beautiful thing that don't rock my ship. Each one reacts to their position to one particular situation differently, right?
True, very true.
So I cannot judge saying, "Oh, you are dancing the whole day. How can you?" For me, I feel that it's a time for reflection. It's a time for meditation. It's time for searching inside, because we've done a lot outside, and there've been no time to sit and think. And this is a time to redefine yourself, perhaps, or to think how it's going to be.
Is that your
plan for the future.
Is that your personality, or is that because you're into philosophy?
Actually, no. I don't know what my personality is, because yes, philosophy changed me actually a lot.
Right.
The studying of philosophy changed me a lot. And I think it's given me a great perspective about my art itself, because my whole thesis itself was like, how arts can give you Brahman realization itself. It was concept of Sadharanikarana.
Okay.
It's called the universalization of Rasa. I mean, that's a very technical thing, but just the process of the dancer of forgetting herself, immersing in a particular character. She's not the character is not there, but it becomes a universalized self. You know what I mean? That way.
Yeah.
I do believe that the arts can lead us to that one moment.
Oh yes, I've known some artists who say that after a point in time during the performance, they end up being an observer.
Yeah, it happens to us a lot. Many times, you've not planned the Sanchari. And I say, where did I get this from? I didn't even know about it. I'm not even thinking of this. Of course, you do a lot of prep. You and that's when you realize that there is something beyond. Like any scientific, if you say like a scientific person, there is that unseen hand, right? There is an unseen hand. So, I mean, whether you want to call it God, you want to call it stone, you want to call it no power, or you want to call it power, it is, right? So, but for me, boundaries, I think the tradition is constant, is very dynamic. But I may not call something Bharatanatyam and do, for instance, Terukuthu in that Bharatanatyam.
Right.
I have also been trained in Terukuthu. I've also done Veshams in dance. And my guru, who's also a strict adherent to that, but we don't call it Bharatanatyam. Then don't call it a Margam performance.
This Kuravan Karuti dance and all that, how do you think it's still part of Bharatanatyam?
Kuravanjis, yes. We ourselves have done a lot of Kuravanjis, this thing. The Kuravanji, the gypsy of Yor, is not the number in the gypsies that we see on the road.
The ones who make beads and stuff.
They're very divine people who were attributed with a lot of divine powers of prophesying and
they were fortune tellers also at one time.
Fortune tellers, and the Kuravanjis also gave you a great idea about the flora and fauna of a particular city. That they were. For Tirchangod Kuravanji, which we have done, is actually written by a lady, and the whole lyrical content of that is supposed to be beautiful. The verse, it's very descriptive and beautiful.
Okay.
So
it's about biodiversity and environment and everything. It's very, very close to nature.
Yes, absolutely. Because the Korati comes and she'll say Naatin Valam Solvanga, then she'll talk about the Malavalam, and the Malaylendu Vande, and then she'll talk lots of things, and what all they do. It's an amazing, the standard structure for a Koravanji dance drama is the same. They come under the Citrilakyam of literature. Like there is the smaller species, in Tamil literature. And their lyric, the literature and the thing that they bring out is beautiful. And Sarabendra Gopala Kuranji, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the first Kuravanjis to be done. And in Tanjavur Periya Kovil, There is a Kuravanji Mandapam, and the Kuravanji was done by the Devadasis who were attached to the temple.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, perhaps, Nanda, you can't equate the Kuravanji to Terukuthu. No.
Yeah, I'm sure you people know.
So Terukuthu is a folk tradition of Tamil Nadu.
Right.
And it is done by the what do you call them? They have these lands, cultivating lands, those kind of people who at the end of the day, they come and have this night-long performance. It's a folk tradition. And I learned it from Purusai Sambandam sir. I learned this because there was a dance drama done by my guru and her son called Mamuda, which is a thing on Manmata, and Mamuda is how they call it in the villages, called Manmata.
Oh, that's
the
colloquial pronunciation.
Yeah, like Mamuda, Mamuda. So this Manmata, as you know, is like that story. If you know, the Shiva burns him because the gods wanted Shiva and Parvati to come together because Shanmukha had to be born, Murugan had to be born to slay that Asuran. So they go and ask him to throw an arrow, and he gets angry, and Manmata completely becomes dust.
Correct.
And then his wife Rati goes to Shiva and says, "What have you done? I can't. What will you do? What? He's the god of love." So what Shiva does is that you can't see Manmata. That's why he's known as Anaga. He's no body. You can't see love, but you can feel him.
Okay.
So that's how that happened. That is the story that we did.
Okay.
And in that, they thought it would be interesting to give something, like they want to make it like a theatre, dance theatre, Bharatanatyam theatre thing. And they said, why don't you do the character of Indra? Indra is the king of gods.
Right.
And he's not he's always, his position is shaky. There's somebody who's taking a varam from Shiva or Vishnu or somebody, and they want to overpower him. So that he's got a very shaky simhasan. So he goes. So that character of Indra, they wanted me to do it in a Terukuthu style.
Okay.
So that's how I got to learn Terukuthu. But I don't use Terukuthu in my Margam performances or anything. If you're doing any thematic or many years ago, Nattuvangam asked me to do this story of Amba and Shikandi of the Mahabharata.
And you played the male role,
No, I did. So Shikandi is actually she's. It's a very fantastic story because Amba loved some Salvan.
Yeah.
But Bhishma took her as a bride for his brother. And then she comes away and says, "No, actually, I love this guy." So he says, "Okay, you go and get married to him." But that guy says, "No, you already went with Bhishma, so I won't get you married." So she hates Bhishma. So she has a penance. And then a lot of things happen. But to cut a very long story short, she's born as Shikandini, who is the sister of Draupadi. But she is this. Drupada also wants to have a revenge with Bhishma. He brings her up as a boy. She is a girl, Shikandini, but she's known as Shikandi. And can you believe this? I mean, all these things have already been there years ago. I mean, in our mythology, Shikandini gets married to a girl. Yeah.
Okay.
They get her married as a man, and then in the night, she's so that lady gets the one who marries him says, like, "My God, you're a woman." So he goes to the forest. I'm just cutting a lot of the story. Okay,
right,
very interesting story. She goes to the forest, and with the power of Yaksha, Shikandini becomes Shikandi.
Okay.
And he comes back. And then, so in the Mahabharata, to fell Bhishma had this thing saying that he could die only when he wished to, right? Remember?
Right. Yeah.
So what Krishna does is that manipulator that he is, he, in the chariot to fell Bhishma, he puts Shikandi in front.
Okay.
Though the arrows are being felled by Arjuna, Shikandi is also this thing because Shikandi has done this Janma only to take revenge with Bhishma. And Bhishma will never fight a girl. And Bhishma knows it's a girl.
Oh, okay.
So that's when he goes into the bed of arrows.
Okay.
So the Amba Shikandi story is a very not well-known story, but it is very, very crucial in this whole plot of the Mahabharata. Because that's what she was the one who brings the thing of Bhishma. So for that, it's like a transgender situation. So I thought bringing, so this was something that I worked myself.
Right.
I thought that Terracotta would suit the thing when she becomes Shikandi, because they have this very like they have these very ta gattu dinta dinta. So from a very coy kind of a transgender man to make him a man, not. So I thought that contrast would be very good. So I used again Tirukuthu for that. The style.
You've also learned a Japanese art form, Priya, Butto dance of Japan.
Butto, I took a workshop, and that Butto dance workshop is something that actually influenced me a lot, because this lady, I don't remember her name, but this Butto dance is a very, very still, but they go from one end to the other end of the thing. You don't even know that they've moved. And the emotions are so intense. So here I was in my own world thinking, oh yeah, and Nanna Abhinayam Varum and all. And I went to this, Anita Ratnam had organized this Butto dance workshop. And, I said, okay, I like to go and see how the others are dancing. The process always is very good. So then when I went for the thing, I realized that she said, no, don't act, feel. So the Butto dance, for me, helped me to feel instead of acting. So till when I went, I was in my, I think, late 30s or 40s, and kind of established even then. It kind of gave me a reality check, that dance form.
Yeah, when your vistas open up, you definitely see that there are things and stuff that we don't know.
Yes.
That really opens up one's mind.
Yeah.
So, for example, this dance that you were describing, now, has anybody tried to experiment with a Bharatanatyam performance on a circular stage where the audience sits all around?
Yeah. Lots of things have happened.
Oh, I see.
Lots of things. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because I always thought that would be ideal, because it's instead of that would give a.
It is ideal and it is not. For people like suppose your structure is not so good, then I wouldn't want a person to be looking at my back. I think a semicircular thing would be good, but not a circular. I wouldn't be comfortable. But having said that, lot of Bharatanatyam is actually so many things is happened and is happening. I would say it's a global art form. I don't think it belongs to only one region of India. I would say that I would call it as a global art form. Of course, there are a lot of people who criticize the form, and a lot of things are there. I mean, in any situation, there are pros and cons, but I think it is a most like popular form, one of the most popular forms, next to maybe Kathak and maybe Kathakali also maybe.
Yeah, when you were talking about the disadvantages of a circular stage, you were talking about the behind. I was thinking of Kathakali.
Yeah.
Where they have a very inflated behind. Yes. Yeah. But I guess that's part of the costume.
I think a semicircular stage would be
good. Somehow this red drapes at the back, and in one corner the orchestra sits, and full wood and curtains. That's the one that I'm exposed to here. So I don't know how it is in India right now, because it's about 25 years since I left. But,
okay.
But that really takes the setting away. It's a modern kind of a theater, and there's this ancient art. It's like the Koil Pujari wearing a three-piece.
No, actually, but yeah, it is. But the thing is, see, it was brought to the proscenium stage. I mean, it was brought to the proscenium stage, but I think Rukmini Devi Arundel had got a lot of aesthetics, which now, over the years, there are some very garish halls, and then there are some very beautiful ways of presenting Bharatanatyam recitals. But I feel dancing in temples is still the best. Yes, there was this act that demolished, which kind of prevented people dancing in temples, but that's a story that we do not want to go to. But that was because of the situation that was then.
Correct.
But for us, during Shivaratri, going to dancing during the Shivaratri festivals in different temples, and looking at the Gopuram, and then it will be a open stage, looking at the moon. I mean, it gives you a sense of exhilaration.
Absolutely. I mean, goosebumps just thinking about it.
Yeah, and then that. Yeah, you're not supposed to. I mean, it's very passe to say dance is divine and sacred, but then the divinity of the art just reflects itself when you dance over there. So
that is true. You have described yourself as a very emotional person. So, do you have to be very emotional to be able to show Abhinayas? Is that a prerequisite?
See, there are so many things actually. First of all, music. The musicality of a person is what makes a person very musical. I mean, very good abhinayam or something. So, but having said that, I don't want to name, but I do know some artists who do not know that much of music. I mean, when I say no music, I'm not saying I should be a singer and giving kacheris. Not that, but you should understanding of the music of your piece or music, Carnatic music should be very high, is what I thought. But there are always exceptions to the rules, right?
Right.
Same way, I think, so the process of Abhinayam is very, so as a child, you go through certain emotions. Then, your life, you go through a lot. I feel those emotions, if you're able to draw from, and it will reflect in your performance. I don't know if you have to be an emotional person.
Okay.
But you should be able to draw from your experiences. For instance, I would just say that, I'm doing this piece called Ase Mugamaranda Poche by Bharatiyar. There are various versions of it. They're saying that he wrote it for his mother or whatever. But when I do it, I always think of my father or my brother, whom I lost very early in my life.
Right.
So for me, that emotion, I'm always in tears at the end of the piece, and hence that is also given to the spectator.
Right.
But that, whether you need to be emotional, or at least you should be able to draw from your experiences. You should have that empathy. You should have that. You should feel.
Right.
And you would only do good abhinaya if you feel. I feel you should. If you feel, so is that emotional? Then it's correct. Then you need to be emotional. You should be able to feel. You should be able to react to the music. You should be everything. It's a whole lot of things together.
So would I be safe in saying you need a high emotional quotient?
Probably.
Right. Okay. So that leads me to my next question. Uma, if you want, just cut me. I have got so many things in my head. I'm just...
Carry on. This is going well. Carry on.
Okay. So, that leads me to my next question, which is, do you think a dancer should be around, should have crossed the age of 30 or so to fully blossom as an artist? Because then she or he would have had all the experiences in life, would have known all the rasas, and therefore able to...
that is let me talk to you about Western and Indian dance, okay? Western dance, the dancer stops performing when they are 25, 30, whatever. They don't perform after that. But for us, I feel the performances get better with the passing years, because as you said, you draw from your experiences, and so now if you in the Narangetram you go and say you ask a small girl to dance, and then you ask her to dance something of great love, and
exactly,
to be able to do it. The auchityam is also there. So, but there are children who have these, are able to emote also. But whether it is is it appropriate, I don't know. I mean, I mean, it's not a thing. But yes, that's the beauty of our of our dance form, is that it's like it's like wine. Adla uri, adla it's something very wonderful.
Right.
I feel that emotions and the kind that you want to express, and if you are in a path of say whatever spiritual path, everything, it helps. It helps, definitely.
Right. So, Richard Bach, one of your favorite writers, huh?
Yes, yeah.
Which one? Illusions or
I
Jonathan?
have actually read a lot of his books. When I was
I see.
younger, I've read a lot of his books. Most of his books I've read, actually. I used to borrow them, buy them.
Okay.
So,
That's cool. So have you tried doing something which brings in all these spiritual aspects into your dance?
I mean, I have not done Richard Bach's works. I have not done things like that. I have not done.
J.K.
But
Rowling?
for me, for me it is like, for instance, you said J.K. Rowling. I feel she's more so like, creative. I love that creativity. I love the way she...
words also, yeah.
Yes, the muggle. I mean, muggle.
Yeah.
So I go around calling Muthulakshmi Reddy a muggle, because Muthulakshmi Reddy is half Devadasi, and her father is one of them is a Brahmin. So I think her father is a Brahmin and mother is a Devadasi. So I keep calling muggles, and people say you're mad. Like, how can you? I said, why not? I think that's beautiful. I mean,
but that thing is so apt, because you get that when that word is said, you get an image which is pretty close to what the real thing is.
Yes. And that same thing, I want to do a Quidditch match. I think it's fantastic to be able to do a Quidditch match with a broom. And I love all those spells. And I think basically, if you're a dancer, you need to love life. For me, if you ask me, you need to love life. You need to be, anything should interest you, I feel. You can't you cannot sit in your ivory tower and say, I'm a classical dancer, and then that is gone,
Right.
Everything in life should interest you.
Right.
The process of a butterfly, the process of a bird flying, everything, nature. You should react to nature. You should love life, I feel. Love everything around you. That will actually influence the aesthetics of your performance or your aesthetics of your being.
I also read
talking
that
about loving. Talking about loving everything, I really love the story about the kutti sari your father got you from Calcutta, and you love the Kanchipuram saris. Tell us about that.
So my dad used to travel a lot, and being the only daughter, as they call me always, I was his pet, and we are Palghat family, so everything will be just said as it is, like there's no couching it. So, but my father used to get me a lot of these small saris, and I think my mom also, she loved dressing me up and all that. And I started wearing saris. I went to Rosary Metric, I went to Saramaris. But I think because of my dance, I started wearing half saris. My guru would say, please wear half saris. So do you know that in the 80s, when I went, my first program, abroad trip was to Spain and Moscow. And what did I wear? Only for travel, I wore salwar kameez. But right through, I wore half saris. And you won't believe it, none of my friends would wear half saris. And I was always in a half sari and big potte and jimkis. All these Meenakari jimkis, which I used to get from a particular shop here in Laz, quite cheap. And all my friends used to get irritated with me, because then all the parents said, look at Priya, I was not doing it. I just loved it. I loved it as a child, and my mother encouraged me. So I had a lot of half sari. I think half sari is so beautiful. Then since we also have this the Kerala connection, I loved wearing a mundanerian. Then and then the saris, of course. See, you have to be like, for example, I'm a dancer. I cannot when I go for a performance, I somehow feel I cannot go in a salwar kameez. I have to be well dressed. The dancerness in me has to be highlighted.
Yes.
And I don't do it consciously anymore. It's more unconsciously. So now, so much so that when I go out, people tell me, "Oh, you look like a dancer," because I think it's just ingrained. That part of the thing has been ingrained. So, and once I remember, I had there are so many days when I don't go for a performance because I'm not appropriately dressed. Because once Dhananjayan sir saw me in a performance from dance class, I'd rushed in a salwar kameez. I had worn a salwar kameez, but he was saying like, "How can you? Nee vande the potukve maatiye, nee eppadi indha dress la vande?" People can say how dare he and all that, but it's not. I mean, I take it as a thing that. Yeah, I mean, yes, I mean, I have this responsibility, and yes, I shouldn't have probably come in a salwar kameez, but that's me. I mean, I'm not. It's something that I'm doing it willingly and consciously and happily.
Right,
So,
it becomes an identity, right? It becomes a lifestyle.
Yeah, it becomes an identity, but it doesn't mean that I don't wear my jeans or I don't wear my dresses. It's just that I don't have the opportunity. But when I go out, I do all these things. But when I go for a performance, when I am in class, my students have to wear puttu. Even Zoom classes that I'm doing, if I find a child not wearing puttu in the house, I say, "Go wear your puttu and come. This is dance hour, so you have to be wearing this." So that way, it is. So the sari, Kanjivaram sari, and then I'm also married to a person who's the synthetic saris. You don't feel the cotton in liya, he'd say, my husband, and I don't even have one synthetic sari, or if I do it, somebody else has given it to me. I love pattis and I love cottons.
The tall, dark, handsome man in your life. Yeah.
Not so dark.
Yeah. So it was a typical Milson Boone definition, Bharatanatyam.
I know.
So I couldn't even pronounce these words. Malli Moggu motif. That's what you like.
Malli Muggu. Then they have that. There are lots of things. I love the Rudraksha bit. They have one Rudraksham. I love traditional sarees. So much so that I so many times I'll think, okay, let me go and buy something different. Jataka adadu vaangalana adu enamo, and the mind does not go to it.
Doesn't go beyond the annam and the chakram.
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, it's been wonderful talking with you. Priya.
Okay, nice. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ma.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, both of you. Lovely talking to you.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye.